For those who may not know me, hopefully everyone does, but if not, I'm Michael Hurd. Been a member of this church for more than 20 years and a guest in this church for more than 20 years before that. The scripture lesson I've chosen for this morning is 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. Do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a worker who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly handles the word of truth. Now, it was a paraphrase of this scripture that was actually the foundation for the name of a youth group I had been a part of during my time living in Virginia. Approved workers are not ashamed. Awana is a nationwide youth ministry that I became involved with when I was there. And so it's amazing to me how God is at work in our lives, even before we're old or wise enough to realize it. Because God called his people to build this church right around the same time that I was born. And even before they had a building, God called on one of his disciples to visit my grandmother at her home. My grandparents had moved here because my grandfather took a new job. My grandmother was kind of struggling. They hadn't found a church home yet. They were limiting their search to churches that were already built. So that particular morning, Reverend Tom Wilson showed up at their house, I think with a plate of muffins, and wanted them to know about a church that was starting here in the community. At the time, they were worshiping in a local school, but the church building was already under construction. My grandfather was traveling for work, and he said that when he talked to Grandma on the phone that night, something in her voice had changed. He said, I found out about a new church. We're going to go this Sunday. And my grandparents, as you know, have been a big part of the work of this church during my entire life. And for 50 years of theirs, more than 50 years of theirs. I mentioned that I was a guest for over 20 years. But that changed in an instant for me. I was sitting here in this sanctuary. I think it was facing the other direction at the time, and it was Lay Leader Sunday. Larry Hanskin, longtime member of this church, was speaking that day, had just gotten back from his Emmaus walk. I don't even know what he was talking about, but I will use the phrase, he was on fire that morning. And as I sat here in this sanctuary, a thought entered my mind. I don't even know if I gave it voice that day, and I certainly never told Larry about it over the years that I knew him. I sat here in this church and I thought how great it would be to be part of this flock. I'm sure if I could, I'd learn a lot and I could do a lot. And as soon as the thought entered, it was gone. Well, surprise, surprise, a couple years later, I got a job here in Columbus and moved right into this neighborhood. It's not something you think about, hey, I think I'll move away from my family and drag my wife away from hers and move here to Columbus, just for the heck of it. But we got welcomed here as members soon after we arrived. I think Grandpa's phrase when he introduced us in church was, well, Michael's been a guest here for a long time, but now that he lives here after today, we'll just expect it. I've been going to church a lot of different places. Ever since I was a kid, we moved around about every 5 or 6 years. Been welcomed with love and support in all those congregations, learned a lot. But since I've been here, I think I've become a disciple. Before that, I was just a follower. Why does God bring people here? Why do we congregate here? We create this community of love and support and learning, but why do we do it? I think it's because you need that community of love and support and learning to go out and do the work that God would have us to do. We all have different gifts. We all have different struggles. But I think what I have learned here is the joy that is in the work that we do. Since I've been here, I've cooked and fed members of this congregation repeatedly. I have cooked and fed the men of Faith on Aid Commission. I have cooked and fed the guests at Manna Cafe. I suppose I've probably fed 5,000. Now, because of that community of love and support that's been created here, I don't think of that as a miraculous thing. It's just a natural extension of that. I discovered that the best way to keep your heart full of love is to take every opportunity to pour that love out for the benefit of others, friends, family, strangers. What is the work that God's called me here to do? I'm not sure I know yet. I've done all those things, but though I find joy in it, I also maybe find it oddly unsatisfying. So I think there's still work yet for me to do, and perhaps work for you. The important thing to focus on is we must always be ready to do the work when we are called, and do it joyfully. Let others know and see the work that you do, and they will know it's really not about who you are, but whose you are.